Hello everyone, this is Sam Overton from PositiveEngineer.com. Thank you for joining me today. And it's always a great day to learn. And today we'll be learning how to install Google Firebase into our iOS application. It's really a simple process. All we'll need to do is install CocoaPods if we don't already have it, and install Firebase to our application. And there are a few little steps in there that you could miss. So what we'll do is we'll walk through that full process and we'll get started right now. So what you'll have to do is first you'll have to open up your terminal. And what I like to do is just hit Command Spacebar, which will pop up the search. And I use an application that's called iTerm. But if you type in terminal right here, you see how it pops up the terminal, and you can just click enter and go into there. But I'm going to go into iTerm. iTerm. I'm gonna click enter. And iTerm and terminal is very similar. What iTerm has is just more features. It's actually a Mac application. So all you'll have to do is go into the Mac App Store, type in iTerm, and you will find it right there in order for you to use. Okay, so now that we have this open, what we have to do is we have to install what are called CocoaPods. So we'll go to cocoapods.org, and when you go to cocoapods.org, you just look for the install link, and we have that right here. You go down, talks about installation. You'll install CocoaPods, and what we'll do is we'll just copy and paste that, Command C. And before I go into and leave this page, just to go over a little bit of background about CocoaPods before we just install anything on our computer. Basically, what CocoaPods allows us to do, it allows us to add third-party libraries to our iOS application very easily. If we didn't have CocoaPods, it will be a very tedious process. That will make it really hard to add third-party libraries such as Firebase, which offers great features that you can use within your app for free. It'll allow us to add all of that without the hassle of going through the full installation process that you will have to go through without CocoaPods. So now we'll just leave CocoaPods right there, and we'll Command V, which V is in Victor, and that'll have that sudo gem install CocoaPods right there. So you'll click enter right there, and it'll ask you for your password. And when you're typing in your password, it looks like you're typing in nothing. It won't move, it won't blink, but rest assured you are typing in your characters to your password, to your if you have password set on your Mac, you'll have to type that in order for you to install this. And you just have to click enter once you're done, and it'll look like nothing is going on, but the terminal is doing this thing in the background. We're installing CocoaPods and everything, so it'll just be a short minute or two. When I initially installed CocoaPods into my computer, it took a little while, so just be patient. If you do have any questions or concerns, just feel free to comment on the below on the video, and I'll feel free to help you out so we can troubleshoot it and get everything going. So right now it's showing that it's installed CocoaPods. Everything is all good. And what I like to normally do is hit Command K, And when you hit the Command K, it just clears everything. So then that way you can start off with a clean slate. So now that we have CocoaPods installed, now we just have to create our Xcode project. So right, I'll go into Xcode. If you don't have it, it's a Mac application as well. You just have to download it, and once you have it downloaded, you can use all the Xcode features. It's free. So we'll go in there. Xcode will go into create a new Xcode project. And before I go on with iTerm, I told you guys to find it on the Mac Store. It's actually online. You have to download it. So you just type in iTerm in Chrome or whatever browser you use, and you'll be able to download it from their website. So you can go and do that from there. I'm sorry about that. So what we'll do once we're in Xcode, click single view application, click next, and then we'll go and type in authenticate right here. Authenticate. We don't need anything right here, and this is just the name of our application. So that's all we typed in. We don't need any other features or anything, so that's what we'll use. Click next. I'll install it into the folder that I use for all of my iOS applications that I mess around with or play around with, or features I'm utilizing. So I'll just create that there, and as you see, it creates our Xcode file. Our application is actually created on here as well, and we should be good to go from here. So now what we'll do is we'll go to Google Firebase. So I'll drag this over here, and we have to actually set up our Firebase as well. So if you have a Gmail, it should be very simple to get started with Firebase. All you do is have to add that in. If you're already signed in Chrome, you'll just be under that username that you'll be using, or that Gmail that you're using. So all you have to do once you're in Firebase, so you go to firebase.com. Let me just type that in just so we can make sure everyone can find everything pretty quickly. You just go to Firebase Console right here. Bam. Click there. Going to load us up. Now we click New Project. We type in authentication again, just to make it really simple. We know exactly which application that we're utilizing in Firebase. So click that. Now it's creating our project in Firebase through the console. It just takes a couple of seconds before it adds. So now we want to add Firebase to our iOS app right here. So it asks us for our iOS bundle ID, and where you can find that at is when you go back to Xcode. And how I'm going to get back there is I hit Command Tab, and and it shows right here Xcode. Just let that go. And in Xcode, if you go to where it says authenticate right here, and you go to general right here, right in this area, it has our bundle identifier. And all you have to do is copy and paste it over to the console. So you just hit Command C, and when we go back to the Firebase console, hit Command V as in Victor. Then it talks about app nickname. We don't need that. App Store ID. We don't need that. We just click Add App. So now you see we have something downloading. Is the Google Service Info plist file. You have to have this file in order for Firebase to work. So what we'll do is we'll click continue, because it has already downloaded. Continue. And now we see all of this information, but before we go into this, let's just uh, get this Google Service info plist file into our Firebase application. So let me just minimize this right now. So what I like to do is just pull up the Finder right here. I'll go to Downloads, and right here where it says Google Info plist, I'm just going to drag that over, and I'm going to put it right underneath where it says Info plist right there. Bam, you want to copy items if needed, create groups, and also where it says add to targets, you want it to say authenticate, which is our application. Bam. So now you see that it's installed. Everything is still looking good. So we're going to move on to the next thing, and think, let me get back to it. Firebase console. So now we have that Google Info plist. We have that into our Xcode application. Now we have to install our pod, and we'll get there by going through the terminal. So right here, I still have the terminal up. What I'll do is click pod init, and I'm going to click enter. Oh, rookie mistake right here, which is always good to go through. So what I didn't do is I didn't specify which Xcode project that we're going to be using. In order for me to do that, we have to go into the correct directory for our Xcode project. And how you do that is very simple. I go to Finder right here. I'm going to make sure that I have both of these applications open right here. So we go to Finder, and I'm going to go to my desktop, iOS course examples, and all you do is you go wherever your authenticate file is for your Xcode project. So once you know where that authenticate file is, all you do is drag. Sorry, you first have to type in CD right here, which means that you're actually going to go to that directory. So once you type in CD, you just drag that file over. Make sure that it's a space in between the CD and all of this information, which it shows you exactly where you'll be, which directory you'll actually be going to. So we'll be going to the authenticate directory. Just click enter. So now what we can do is we can do pod init. So we'll do that now. So pod init, in which that all it means is pod initiate. And you see now that we have a pod file which it created, and so we do have to do something in that pod file. All you have to do is right click, open with, choose other, and I'll go all the way down to Xcode. Some people use other applications. Xcode works just fine. So what I'll do is go back to Firebase console, and now it's telling us to open our pod file and add this line right here where it says pod Firebase core, and we don't need all of that. All this is telling us to add everything that Firebase has to offer, which we won't be using all right away, and we can install it bit by bit, whatever we need. So what I normally like to do is I'll exit out of here, and I'll go to docs right there. And I'll get started. For iOS, get started guide. And in this guide, if you just scroll through, it has all of the pods and the services that it provides right here. So it tells you right here the pod name and then the service that it'll provide right here. So all we need is the authentication, because that's what we'll be working on next, is how to do authentication in our application with Firebase. So I'll just copy that over, Command C. Then I'll go back to our terminal right there. Then I'll hit Command V right there. I'm sorry. Again, another mistake. That's not what you're supposed to do. What you're actually supposed to do is go to Xcode again and go to this pod file, and you hit Command V right there. It's easy for me to just feel like I have to go and use the terminal, but that's not what we do. We actually go back to our pod file. We'll add it there. And let's just make sure that everything is up to date in here. We just need to add iOS 10 just for now, just to use. We'll do that. And everything is good to go. We just hit Command S to save it. I'm going to click out of that. And so we have everything that we need. So now it's just one more step. So now we click pod install. Right? Bam. And everything is installed onto our application. And I'm mad that no one told me that I spelled uh, authenticate wrong in this application. So I'm going to get you guys. No, I'm just joking. So now that we have this installed, there's one more key small step. It's nothing that we have to do, but it's just something that you have to pay attention to. So what I'll just click out of that Xcode project, and then I'll move this because we don't need this anymore. So now you have to go back, and you have to go to where it shows you your authenticate file, and then all of the files within the folder. I'm sorry, and then all the files within the folder. You see right here where it looks like we have two Xcode projects right here. Well, this one we're not using. We won't use anymore. It actually, when we create our pod file, it creates a Xcode workspace that we'll be using, and this is where we'll have all of our pod files and everything that we'll need in order for us to use Firebase. So I'm going to click that, and now over here you see that when you click down on there, it has our pods in here where you see right there. And then also in here, this is where it actually contains our pod file. And so if we ever wanted to update and add more pod files, we can, and we can just do it right through there and just go back to our terminal, hit install, and we'll be good to go. So that is it for us getting started with Firebase. It's not too hard, just a little bit of steps that we need to make sure that we do correctly in order for us to get it installed, but we have installed it successfully, and everything is good to go. Next we'll be learning about authentication, which is very fun, and we'll get started with that. We'll have two pieces of authentication that we'll use. We'll use a third-party service, which will actually be using Google as one of our authentication methods. So all somebody has to do is confirm their Google Gmail. Once they do that, they'll always be signed into our application. Or if they don't want to do that, they can also just type in their email and password, and once they do that, they'll always be signed into our application, which is great. So we'll do that next time. I want to thank every one of you for watching the video, and feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you, and just remember, it's always a great day to be positive and to do what we want to do. And right now, that's learn iOS development to become an iOS engineer. Thank you. Have a great day.